Hey videographer, do you even color, bro? Yes, I just asked this question. Well, if you do color, just, shut up and watch this video. But if you don't color, definitely watch this video because I think it's going to be very useful for you. Today, I'm going to show you the tool that I've always wanted to have, even before I knew that it exists. My wife actually almost divorced me because I just kept complaining that a tool like this just doesn't exist. Well, it turned out that it exists. And it's called Dehancer. For some reason, Dehancer actually reached out to me and they asked me to make a video for them. Yes, I'm a sellout, but know this. All they asked me to do is to make one video, an honest review, if you may say, about this tool. However, they don't have any input in this video and they don't pay me any money. They do provide me the tool for free, so I guess this is some form of payment, but hey, life sucks and then you die. Now, I will provide chapters for this video. I hope so. Because I want this video to be the most comprehensive Dehancer review out there. I will go through every single slider in Dehancer and explain what it does and how it affects your image. After this, I will show you how I use Dehancer in my workflow. Not that anybody cares. I will be using footage from real projects that are not perfect from an affordable camera. I will even test it how it works with some Rec 709 footage. And at the end, I'm going to mention some of the things I don't like in the plugin. But before all of that, what is Dehancer? Dehancer is a plugin that helps you to emulate certain film looks. It works with the most popular NLEs out there, such as DaVinci, Premiere Pro, Final Cut, but also with programs such as Photoshop or Capture One. They even have an app for your iPhone. And again, this is emulating. This is a very difficult word to say. Simulating? Can I say simulating? Dehancer simulates different film stock, like an actual film stock that people used to shoot back in the days. And this is very different than what a lot is. Dehancer itself has multiple tools inside it that helps you to achieve the desired results that you need. To my knowledge, the way they do that is that they take an actual the actual film, the actual negatives, and they scan that, and based on that they develop this tool, which is amazing. It gives you the closest results that you can ever achieve. I believe the Dehancer is made to be used as a part of your color editing workflow, just to have this film look at the end. But you can actually color grade the entire shot from start to finish only with Dehancer, and I'm gonna show you this now. All of the shots that you're gonna see are shot with this camera, the Fujifilm X-T3. Is not the best camera out there, especially nowadays in the market. It doesn't have the best dynamic range, but it has very good dynamic range. All the shots are in f-log except the one that is in Rec 709. Enough talking, now let's see the damn tool. When you install Dehancer, if you work with DaVinci, you can go to your color panel, and then under effects, it will be at the very bottom, or you can of course just search for it. So I'm just gonna drop it on my video, and this is what you see. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disable all of the tools so that I can turn them off. So that I can turn them on one by one, so you see what each tool does. Then I'm gonna go to the very first page, and that's the input. So from the input, I get to choose my camera. Of course, I can just choose Rec 709, Rec 2020. The important thing is that you have options. In that case, I'm gonna choose the camera. As a vendor, I'm gonna choose the Fujifilm. By the way, I'm very happy that they actually have Fujifilm, because a lot of tools, a lot of things don't include Fujifilm, because nobody likes Fujifilm filmmaking, unfortunately, although they're amazing. And they even have Kinefinity, another camera that is very often excluded from stuff like this. So I'm very happy about it. And not only that they have Fujifilm, but they have even the X-T3, which is quite old camera nowadays. So this is amazing. So here is something interesting that I found, and that is that if I use it this way, which means I have every tool disabled, and I just choose my camera, this acts as a Rec 709 conversion. So with the old way, I have to use a color space transform and choose these settings here, and this is what it gets me. So I'm gonna grab a still of that. So now if I click this one on the left, we're gonna see the color transform, the color space transform node, which this is the result we get, and here is the Dehancer results. Apart from the Dehancer being darker, the image looks a bit less. I was about to say gentle. What is the word? Digital. Oh my god, woman. So the image looks a bit less digital with Dehancer. So under the input tab, you will have different sliders that you can adjust the image. So you can adjust the exposure, you can adjust the temperature, you can adjust the tint, and also you can manage the fringing. Let's move to the next one, film. And this is probably why you actually, purchase this plugin. Because here there's like a bunch of film stocks that you can choose, and each one of them will give you a different look, and there's some crazy ones. There's some Fujifilms, there's Kodak, definitely test which one you like the most. Each one will give different kind of look. You can just do a research what kind of simulation or what kind of film stock works for your particular situation. You know, if you're filming outside, if you're filming inside, so you can go ahead. Some of my favorite ones are the Porta 400 and 800, the Ultramax 400, and the Vision 3 250D. Underneath here you have a push and pull slider. By pushing and pulling the image, it gives slight variation into the exposure and into the color. So if you will notice, if I do that, it just makes the shot a bit more reddish, a bit more warm, and slightly more flat. So you see there's not as much contrast. Whereas here it preserves that contrast, but it keeps the shot, gives a bit of a cooler tones into the shot. I like to keep it in the middle. Film developer is something that you will use to kind of create your own film look, you know, because you can adjust the current film. So if I enable this, you can just boost the contrast, and you can use the gamma correction to adjust which part of the image this contrast affects. Color separator, it's exactly what it sounds like. If you look here, look at this green and cyan and the reds here. So if I bring them here, they're quite close, but if I push it all the way to the 100, we see that they're a bit more separated, so you just pull them apart. Color boost is just, it does what it say, it boosts your color, okay? Film compression is something I love using. The tonal range will affect which parts of the, you know, if you look here, which parts of the bright parts, it will adjust them. You know, here you can just adjust the white point, how strong, you know, you want this to be, and as well the color density, which will just give a bit more, I don't want to say depth again. It will make the colors a bit more saturated, but not in the way saturation does. But basically what film compression does is to manage, you know, your shots not to clip, being in the dark or in the bright. Because you will notice if I disable them, just look at here, at the moment it's quite white. And the shot is not overexposed at the moment, but when I enable it, it just has a smoother roll off from like the, you know, the dark parts to the bright parts. And even if the highlights were clipped, actually, they wouldn't look as bad. They wouldn't look as digital, you know, they will look more filmic. That's what we're doing here. We're making film looks. Expand lets you do exactly that, to expand the image. If I just take the white point and I can just, I bring it all the way up. It works similar to the exposure one. It's just that this allows it to touch either the black or the white. So if, let's say my shot was here and I just want more contrast, I can just bring it all the way down or even crush those blacks. And you can actually adjust either all of it, meaning all the colors and the brightness, or you can just work with the luma, which means just the brightness levels. You see how the shot looks a bit like it's bleach bypass. Let me just go to normal. Now we have a bit more saturation into it. So again, it all depends on what you're doing, and this is something that you want to test. Moving on to the print. Now you will notice that from print there's a couple of profiles only. There's the linear, Cineon Film Lock, Fujifilm 3513, Kodak T3A3, a Kodak Endura glossy paper. I'm gonna choose Kodak T3A3 because that's usually the most popular one, but yeah, the Fujifilm and the Kodak are the most popular ones. I'm choosing the Kodak, and look what happens now with the shot. It becomes immediately more contrasty. But what's the difference between print and film, you may ask? You probably don't, but I'm still gonna tell you why, what it means. Film is the actual negative, the thing that you put in your camera to, you know, take those shots. Whereas print is after you develop, you know, everything, then you have to print it on something to be able to show it, you know, in movie theaters, in cinema. Which print film you choose to use can affect your image in different ways. And that's what they used to do back in the days as well. So in that case, it makes this image more contrasty. You have a couple of sliders here that lets you adjust this look as well. One of them is target white. And if you go to the left, it will make the shot warmer. And it's kind of like using the warmer film print of that stock. If you go to the right, it just makes the cooler version of it. Of course, you can adjust the exposure. You can adjust the tonal contrast. And of course, you can adjust the saturation from here. Here you have the analog range limiter. And when you click it, you will see that it brings those blacks up, because film usually doesn't clip. It always has a little bit, you know, you never have pure blacks, you never have pure whites. Look at the difference how this looks and how this looks. It's just so much softer the way it goes into the blacks or into the bright parts. I use this a lot. Color heads. This is the tool that probably allows you to be a bit more creative. So with this one, it will of course affect the cyan and the red. You see how it looks bluer, but it's not as if you're changing the color temperature. It's just that imagine if this was a printed image, and your printer was broken and it just has more sand than any other colors. That's how the image would look like. Same here with the magenta versus green. And here we have the yellow versus blue. You see how the yellow looks like ink, like painted. And same thing with the blue. You can gang them all and they're gonna all work as once, and they're gonna affect the image in a certain way. From here you can actually adjust the shadow, midtones, and highlights. And this is adjusting the tone, adjusting the, you know, warm and cool and stuff like this. So let's start with the shadow as it's on the top. So you see if I push to the right, it just makes the shadows more warm, and to the left it makes them more cold. Same thing for the midtones and for the highlights. Preserve exposure, keep it at 100%. If you do overdo it, you can just reduce the impact. It's kind of like opacity filter, so it's like reduces the effect on the image. Film grain, this is one of the most used things again, but you can adjust the amount and you can choose between different films. For example, if you want 8mm at 500 ISO, this will give you a very strong ISO. You can go for a custom one and you can adjust everything from the size, the amount, the film resolution, which will make the image a bit more blurry, the shadows, and that affects only the grain, by the way, the midtones, the highlights, chroma shadow. So if you don't want any chroma shadow, you can just remove it from here. You can adjust as well, switch between positive and negative. I just don't know exactly what this means. I definitely like how it looks more on the positive in general. You can choose between analog and noise. The way I understand this is that noise, it's more like a digital noise, whereas the analog, it's literally grain. Halation, you can enable that. In this shot, I actually don't have any part where we will have a halation. Keep in mind that halation will make your shot a bit warmer. If you look here, and it makes it warmer because it will add a bit of a red colors onto the entire image. You can of course choose between the different stock, the different size of film, and you can adjust the amount. Bloom works like the glow effect in DaVinci. It just makes everything a bit more glowy. Look in my eyes now. I'm gonna switch it off. It works like the promise filters that you would put at you know, in front of the lens. And I'm not sure if this is entirely something that's a lens character or it's also somehow film character. I mean, what I do like a lot in the bloom is that it kind of combines everything, because it takes the difference between the black and the bright parts and it just blends them a bit better. It makes the whole thing way smoother and just looks beautiful. Film damage, it's just, let me just switch to 8mm because this will give you the most artifacts. So it just adds different artifacts. These are scratches, hairs, dust that go onto the film and just add this film damage. You see how they just move a lot, and you may or may not want to do that, depends on, you know, what you're trying to do with your shots. Of course, you can choose here the amount. You can choose if you want them to jitter a lot or not. You can choose even a custom one, so you can really dial it up. I'm not going to go through that one, but just if you really want to go there, you can just go through every single slider and just experiment and see what's the best. Film breath, as you know, the video is just a bunch of pictures shown very fast. And back in the days with the film, not every single frame was exposed exactly the same as the other one. So naturally there will be slight shifts between the exposure and the colors between each frame. And that's what this film breath simulates. It literally just tries to breathe. And just look what's happening here. I used the 8mm again because I wanted to make it a bit more visible. Just look what happens here. You see how it's going up and down saturation wise and stuff like this. The next one, gate weave, is the same thing, but for the actual movement of the image in between them. To watch a movie back in the days, and even nowadays in some movies, they would have the film stock going through some, you know, rolls and stuff like this. And this naturally has a lot of small jitter and movements that can actually be shown and seen on the bigger screen. So if I enable this, you will notice how it zooms into the image slightly, and that's because, you know, it needs this amount of jitter. And you see how the shot just slightly moves, even if it's a static shot. And as always, you can choose the impact, you can create a custom one, and you can choose between different film sizes. Overscan. When they usually scan the actual film, they don't only see the image, but they see what's outside of this image. Let me show you. It would be the perforation itself. And here you can choose between different perforations. For example, gate type will be your film type. So let's choose Super 8. And you see this will have it on the side. Gate shape, you can choose between neat, which looks as it is. We can go for a sharp, so it has a more sharp corners. Look at the corners mostly. It can be rounded, so it's more rounded than usual. Or it can be off, so it will just look this way. Perforation mode, there's positive and negative, and it's just the negative will give you black and the positive will give you white. I'm not sure exactly how this translates to real film. If you work with film, you can explain maybe in the comments for me to understand. I will go for negative here. Film orientation, in that case, is vertical, but we can choose horizontal, so it will show more of them. Exposure changes the exposure of the actual film stock, but not on the image. Keep that in mind here. I can choose scale. I can have lens zoom, which will pretty much zoom the my shot that I have. I can move my shot left and right to offset it, because maybe some part is cut and I want to reframe it in a certain way. Engage the focus, it will just make all the edges blurry, because it will make the whole shot more defocused. You can flip, so let's say this is gonna go on the right. You can also disable the static gate, so it will kind of move a bit more, it will jitter a bit more. So vignette, it's something that you want to adjust if you're gonna have it. You want to adjust this ahead of time before you do any exposure changes, because this affects the exposure. So from here I can choose the exposure, so maybe I want the outside of the image to look darker, or maybe I want to brighten the outside of the image. From here I can choose the size of my vignette, or it's more like the circle that's going to be in the middle. I reduce the feather all the way to the minimum, so I can just choose, okay, I want here, and when I start reducing the feather, you will see that it just makes it smoother and smoother and smoother. The aspect ratio will change it from horizontal oval to oval but vertical. You can also adjust the position of it. Mask mode, you can either use it creatively like this, of course, for an easy way to create a mask that you can then just resize, or animate in that case, because you can animate everything here. Something that Dehancer allows you to do is to monitor your shot by using false color. So this is, think of it as a LUT that you apply on top, and it shows you the false color. Okay, I don't know why this is not working, because up until yesterday, when I clicked here, clip indicators, it was showing me the parts that are clipped, it will show them in color, in the false color. And I don't know why this is not working. Am I doing something wrong? So please, if you know what's wrong, just tell me. I don't know. And finally, we have the output, and from here you can decrease the amount of, it's kind of like the opacity filter for the entirety of the Dehancer. So if what we created it's too strong for you, you can just dial it back a bit from here, just as a one easy go. And the last two are that you can generate a LUT, and you have few options here which allows you to change the quality between normal and high. The normal one is obviously faster, and it works pretty fine for me. I haven't noticed a big difference between them two, but you can at the end switch to high and export, and this way you will have a bit higher quality. If there's updates and you know that there is an update, you can check your profiles here, and it will actually download all the profiles that you don't have maybe. And from here it can disable every single tool that you used. I know it was long, but we managed. We reached the end of this part. We still have more though. I'm going to show you now how to actually use this creatively in your shots. But before that, I want to mention that they also have an app for your phone. When you use your phone, by the way, I would recommend to switch off night shift and the true tone display, because this will affect the colors itself. This is a photo I took with my phone, and it works both on photos and on videos, and you can just use it as editing your photos, of course. You can go and just choose any of the presets that you have here. Oh, I like this one. I just need to tell you that this app has pretty much everything that the full-fledged plugin has for DaVinci Resolve, which is amazing, because you can do this on the go from your phone. You can just edit your image there, or you can edit your, of course, your videos. I already like it the way it is, but for the sake of, showing you how it works, I'm gonna go to the edit page and just show you what it can do. We're gonna start from the beginning. Obviously you can crop. This is meant to edit your images on the phone from start to finish. So this is more like a standalone app, whereas the Dehancer for DaVinci, it's a plugin. It doesn't let me choose the source. Maybe it's automatically recognizing that it's the iPhone, but I can adjust the source here the way I would adjust it to my computer. So I can adjust the tint and the fringe and stuff like this. It has pretty much everything that it has there except choosing my camera. Here is the film stock, which I already chose which one. And this is the film developer. Again, we have the exact same tools here. I see the color boost, gamma correction, color separation, film compression. That's perfect. So this is, that I love this tool. So let's go to tonal range. Let's go to expand, because we want a bit more into the bright here. We're gonna go to the print. We're gonna choose the Kodak, or let's try the Fujifilm. Okay, we do like the Fujifilm in this one. I love the blues. I love the yellows. Oof, amazing. Let me just adjust a bit the exposure, and I can also adjust the analog range limiter. For this image, I don't like the analog range limiter, so I'm gonna leave it off. The color heads, I'm not gonna mess up with this, but it seems that it has everything that the app has here. Film grain, this is what we love. Profile custom, no, we want 35 millimeters at 50, and I'm just gonna reduce a bit the amount. Halation, yes. Bloom, it has literally everything that it has in the plugin. That's so amazing. This was the original picture, and I thought this looks good. I'm not a photographer, by the way. I'm not gonna stoop that low. And I thought, yeah, that's fine, and I posted it. Look at this. Wow, this is something that I actually like. You have OVERSCAN here. I know I seem a bit excited, but I actually didn't check the app as much before that. I just checked it quickly because I'm not making a full-on video on the app, but I just wanted to show you. But yeah, you have everything in the OVERSCAN. You need to declick them. It has this small blue point, and this means that it's on. So that's how you turn them on and off, by clicking on them. Perfect. So this looks amazing for me. Now from here, I guess I can export it. Yes, I can save to gallery. It has a bunch of tools. I really like it. Maybe we can make a separate video just on the app. So this is an image was taken with my phone, edited entirely in the app of Dehancer. Wow. So this is my process. I'm gonna find the shot which has a person. Ideally, it's an outside shot. It has blue skies, green and stuff like this. So it has the most of what my majority of my project will have. I will prioritize always people, skin, because I want the skin colors to look nice. I'm gonna use this shot here now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna search for Dehancer. I'm gonna go to option, disable all tools, and then I'm gonna enable only the tools that I'm gonna be using. So first I'm gonna choose my camera. I will choose my film, and as I said, I usually go for the Ultramax 400. Lately that's what I've been using, and I'm gonna leave the push and pull in the middle. I'm gonna go to film compression, and I'm gonna enable that and just leave it as it is. I'm gonna go to print, and I'm gonna choose the Kodak 23A3, and I'm gonna enable it. I'm gonna enable analog range limiter, adjust the exposure slightly up to around 500, 600, something like this. It doesn't need to be exact. I will adjust the target white slightly to the right, meaning I will cool down a bit the shots, because the combination of these two tools warms up the image a bit too much. I'm gonna increase the color density to around 40 and 50, and I'm gonna adjust slightly the tonal contrast. I'm gonna close this down because I'm not gonna need it anymore. I'm not gonna touch this. I'm gonna go to film grain, enable that, and I'm gonna choose the 65 millimeters at ISO 50. I find that this one works pretty well for a lot of shots where I may not want a lot of grain, but I still want some grain because the grain is more fine, and it works pretty well. I'll go to halation, I turn that on, not changing anything, just leave it as it is. I'll go to bloom, enable that, not gonna change anything, leave it like this. Now one more thing that maybe I will add, I want a bit more saturation, and to add the saturation I will go to film developer and just add a little bit of color boost, just a little bit. I want to be subtle, and later on we're gonna adjust more the image to get more contrast, etc. I like where my color temperature is, but I do like a bit of green in my colors, as I mentioned before, and I'm just gonna do that by adding green with the tint, not too much, anything between 15 and 20. So why did I do this? Now I want to apply these settings to all of the footage, and then adjust each single footage based on exposure or temperature based on how I film that. I'm gonna grab a still from this one, and I'm gonna explain why after this. Then I'm gonna select all the images, and I'm gonna middle click with my mouse on top of the shot that I already color graded. So this will replace the colors on all of the shots. So now you see every single shot has a color grading on it. Now the reason I did take a still, grab the still, is if I do a bunch of changes and I want to revert back to the original, instead of trying to figure out how it was, I can just click here with the middle again, and it will go back to this. So that's why I have this one here. So we have 19 shots. Now let's see how fast we can edit all of these 19 shots.
Hey, this is the voice of editing room, and here I decided not to include this part because we're already 24 minutes into the video. I doubt that you want to watch another 20-30 minutes of me just color grading by just adjusting the exposure and the temperature. In this video doesn't really add anything to it, but I will upload how I'm color grading these 19 shots, so you can stay tuned for that. For now, I'm going to show you the Rec 709 shot because I believe this is interesting, and we're going to continue from there. Thank you.
This is the Rec 709. So here I have to switch from choose a camera to Rec 709. So this is my Rec 709. Now, when I work with Rec 709 image, I actually don't add any film stock because my Fuji, it's kind of already simulating a film look into the camera. So I'm actually removing this part from here and I'm only using the print, and it already looks quite good, by the way. So it's a bit bright, so I'm going to bring it down. Here I don't have as much, as much to move around. So I'm going to go back to the print itself, and I'm going to reset almost everything here. Film compression, I think this is something we can recover. Oh, that's recovering pretty well over there in the background. I'm happy from that. So this is before, it looks fine. And it looks really good. I don't know, I actually didn't, this is my first time I'm trying this particular shot because I used it just as it was and I just added a little bit of contrast, but oh my god, that works so well. I found a bug, which I'm not sure if this is due to my computer or to DaVinci, or it's a bug in the actual Dehancer. So I hope Dehancer will have a look at this and see if it can be fixed. Now, if I go to my input and I go to formats, I can choose F-Lock because that's what my camera does. If I choose deselect, this somehow affects the image. It makes it a bit darker. Originally, I thought that if I choose deselect, this will be just a Rec 709. But no, it's not Rec 709 because this is how Rec 709 image looks. And yes, I tried the same thing on an actual Rec 709 footage. It's not a Rec 709 profile. It just affects somehow the image. I just don't know why. Sometimes when I close the program, when I close DaVinci, and when I reopen it after maybe a day or something like this, some of the shots will be, the format will be changed to deselect, which affected my image, which affected my color grade. I don't know whose fault is about this bug, but I hope that Dehancer definitely goes on it and just checks what's happening there. So another annoying thing is that these tools here on the side will randomly change. Okay, so now I have them all closed, but sometimes again when I close the app or when I even while as I'm working, randomly some of this will be open or closed. I don't know if here it's my fault, it's something I'm not understanding. So for example, as it is now, the only thing that stays open, it is the input and nothing else. It just changed and now I have so much more open. It just changed in front of your eyes and I don't know why. I don't know why all of these tools open, all of these panels open and close randomly. It's just annoying because I would like to have only the panels open that I have to work on and not have everything constantly open. My other gripe is about the vignette. The vignette itself works great. The only thing I don't like is how you can move this around, the actual vignette. I cannot slide. I need to literally type in and guess how much I need to move it. I don't have very precise, easy adjustment to move left and right. I just have to keep typing and guessing where it needs to move. Whereas if it was sliding, I can just dial it up. I do recognize that those requests may be a little bit dumb because they don't actually, none of this actually affects how the image looks, except maybe that bug with the input, because it will change the colors. And it's very, very user friendly. It just has those minor things. And honestly, I'm just looking for troubles. I'm looking for problems that this has because I want to complain so that it looks like a feedback. I'm very, very happy with it and I regret that I didn't get it, earlier. All I wanted to have always is an easy way to emulate film or to simulate film because I love film. I love how it looks and I was fine to even just to have one good LUT or whatever that will work on everything. I moved from taking a couple of days to color grade an entire wedding to only taking a couple of hours because of Dehancer. I'm gonna say this again. I believe that Dehancer is meant to be used as additional tool in already your color grading, workflow. And I see it more towards the end of the image where, you have this final film looks and everything before or after would be just to adjust few more things precisely. Now, if you want to try this sweet plugin, you can follow the link that I'm going to put in the description and then your mom will call because you will be reborn. You can just use the trial version and then use my code, which is Rumen, for 10% off of your purchase. I also get a small commission of that, so you can feel good that you helped a very, 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 very small creator on this platform. Thank you for that. At the end of the day, it's not the size that matters. It's the friendships that we made all along. You can also subscribe, like, and share any of my videos. Thank you for watching. Ciao, bye!